You were never abandoned. You were never unloved. You just never looked in the mirror long enough to face what you really are. Not what you show the world, not what you post, but the silence that screams when the lights go off. You built your life avoiding the truth, and now you wonder why everything feels hollow. Why the nights are louder, why nothing means anything. You keep chasing women, money, status, but none of it fills you. Because the void isn't outside, it's inside, and it's been starving. This is why you feel so empty. There's a part of you that's been buried, not forgotten, ignored. A version of yourself that once screamed to be heard, but you silenced it. With distraction, with noise, with validation that means nothing when you're alone. You became a master of masks, strong on the outside, broken within. You laugh when you want to cry, you flex when you feel lost. You scroll when you should sit with your thoughts. There's a war happening inside you, but no one can see it. And that's the worst part. Because if they did, maybe they'd understand. Maybe they'd know why your smile doesn't reach your eyes. Why your success feels like failure. Why every night feels heavier than the last. This isn't about sadness. It's not even about depression. It's about emptiness. That cold, aching silence when you realize you've built a life around everything but yourself. You've chased being a man through how others see you but never through who you actually are. You've learned how to be a man from broken men, from loud mouths, from fragile egos. No one taught you to look inward, to sit in stillness, to bleed truth. This is what happens when you never do the inner work. When you base your worth on what you achieve, not what you overcome. When you let rejection define your identity. When heartbreak becomes a scar you worship instead of a lesson you learn. You never looked within. And now you're just surviving. But surviving isn't living. And deep down, you know it. You feel lost because you've never truly met yourself. You've chased masculinity through performance, not presence. They told you being a man was about control, dominance, power. They never told you it was about ownership of your pain, of your shame, of the parts of you that no one claps for. This is why you feel hollow. Why self-improvement became an addiction, not a solution. Why the alpha mindset left you more isolated than inspired. You keep asking why she left, but you were never really there. She wasn't walking away from you. She was walking away from your emptiness. Because when a man has no center, he collapses. When he's not rooted in purpose, he drifts. And when he confuses validation with love, he bleeds from wounds he refuses to see. Masculine energy is not rage. It's not chaos. It's not proving yourself to the world every day. It's direction. It's discipline. It's the ability to sit in silence without being swallowed by it. You never looked within, because what's in there terrifies you. The guilt, the insecurity, the fear that you're not enough. The truth that you've built your identity around rejection. But here's the reality. Until you look within, you will never feel whole. No amount of sex, success, or status will fix what your soul is begging you to face. You want strength? Start with honesty. Start with facing the mirror without flinching. That's the beginning of true masculinity. That's how you stop being empty. Not by running harder, but by finally stopping and listening. You were taught to keep going, to never stop, to push through, to hustle, to grind, to bury the pain under productivity. But no one warned you that motion without meaning leads to nowhere. You wake up, you train, you scroll, you work, you eat, you sleep, repeat, and still, Something feels off. A pressure in your chest. An ache you can't explain. Not physical, spiritual, like your soul is whispering, "This isn't it." You see other men smiling. You see them in love. You see them fulfilled. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I feel that? Why does everything feel like I'm pretending? It's because you are. You've built an identity around surviving, not around living. You've mastered avoidance. You escaped your childhood wounds with arrogance. You covered your abandonment issues with fake confidence. You answered heartbreak with silence and sex. But silence doesn't heal what you refuse to face. And sex doesn't connect when you're disconnected from yourself. You think you're strong because you don't cry, because you don't complain, because you move on. But all you've done is bury the wound deeper. And now, it's bleeding into everything. You wonder why your relationships fail. Why she felt unseen. Why you felt misunderstood. But how can anyone understand you if you don't even know yourself? This is where real self-improvement begins, not in the gym, not in your bank account, but in the mirror. When you look and say without flinching, "I'm lost. I need to rebuild." That's the death of ego and the birth of manhood. Because being a man isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, it's about being whole, and wholeness doesn't come from adding more. It comes from unpacking what's already there and facing it. You've been angry lately, short-tempered, easily triggered. But anger is grief, in armor. And your soul is grieving all the years you've wasted pretending you were okay. You don't need another dopamine hit. You don't need another motivational reel. You need to sit in the dark with yourself and let the silence speak. That's the real alpha mindset. Not controlling others but mastering your own shadow. Because only in solitude can a man truly meet himself. And once he does, everything changes. Rejection becomes redirection. Pain becomes fuel. Loss becomes clarity. And love, real love, becomes possible. But only when you stop running. Only when you finally look within. Because the man you're chasing out there, he's been waiting inside you this whole time. You were just too afraid to see him. Too afraid to face the parts of yourself you've hidden from the world. But the truth. So that's where your power lives, not in who you pretend to be. Not in what the world sees, but in who you are. When no one's watching, that's where your fire is. That's where your peace is. That's where your real masculinity begins. The question is, are you ready to go there? Are you ready to stop blaming the world, your ex, your past? Are you ready to rebuild from the inside out? Or are you going to keep living like this and strong on the outside, dead within? You don't need more motivation. You need truth. And the truth is simple. If you never look within, you will never feel whole. She didn't leave because you were too much. She left because you were never really there. You weren't rejected, you were empty. And no one wants to build a home in a man who's hollow. You scroll past life while pretending you're living. You wear strength like armor, but inside you're bleeding. You fear being forgotten. But the truth is you forgot yourself first. You lie awake hoping they'll miss you. But the person you really miss is the one you were before you broke. No, one is coming to save you, not her, not your friends, not success, not God, and until you decide to meet him halfway. This is the part they don't talk about. The loneliness in growth. The silence of real change. The brutal realization that the life you've been living wasn't yours. It was a copy, a mask, a performance. But here's the truth that cuts deeper than anything. You can't become a man by pretending you're already one. You become a man by breaking, by burning, by facing the shadows and walking through the fire, alone. It's in the stillness that you meet your demons. It's in the pain that you forge purpose. And it's in the mirror that you finally find him, the man you were meant to be, not the charming one, not the successful one, not the one she wanted, or the one they praised, but the man who knows himself and owns it. Because once you stop running, once you face the shame, the guilt, the fear, the heartbreak, and let it teach you, you realize something powerful. You were never broken. You were buried under lies, under pain, under performance. But now, you're digging. And that's the beginning of everything. So if you're feeling empty, don't run from it. Listen to it. Let it lead you home. Because when you look within, when you truly see yourself, you stop needing the world to do it for you. And that's when the emptiness finally ends. If this hit something in you, don't scroll like it didn't. Write something. Say something. Bleed a little in the comments. Someone out there feels the same. Maybe you'll remind them they're not alone. Maybe you'll remind yourself.